Avoir. Hello and welcome to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato and I am the host of the show. Today I am recording and releasing the podcast early on a Saturday morning. I know I had said I was going to stick to a Friday schedule, and as it goes, woke up today. Laurie said to me, "Did you release a podcast yesterday?" I said, "No." She said, "Why not?" And I just started to feel a way about it. So here I am up in my office recording before a very busy day of classes. But I did have some things on my mind that I wanted to share with those of you that listen. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. This podcast has historically interviewed some wonderful Boston area dog handlers. We have sat down and talked about our lives, dogs, and careers. Lately, I've taken a step back from that goal. It's something that I hope to do more of in 2024. Time is of the essence when it comes to dog handlers everywhere, so it is difficult to schedule those types of interviews. Actually, it's not difficult to schedule them. It's just that they happen very irregularly for me and for others that are able to sit down and talk to, and for people that I actually want to sit down and talk to. So if they do happen, they're not on the regular. So, Laurie and I sit down and we talk about a variety of different dog training and handling topics in the meantime. And most of you that listen are into what you're hearing, so we'll continue to do that. Laurie's under the weather today, so I'm flying solo. But I've been going through this book called The Daily Laws. It's by a guy named Robert Greene. If I have just turned you off to the podcast because you don't like Robert Greene for some reason, too bad. I really like Robert Greene. I think that he has published some really amazing books. I would call him a historian above all other things. You can find his books in the business section of Barnes & Noble and the local library and such, but what he really does is look at historical characters, people that have lived throughout history, and study their impact. That's basically what I think is the thesis of his work. But he has written on a bunch of very interesting topics, and there's a book called The Daily Laws, which have compiled some of his ideas into like daily readings. So yesterday's daily reading was know what you're drawn to and immerse yourself in it. And the first few months of the year, he kind of dedicates to trying to discover what it is that you really enjoyed when you were a kid. And he makes the argument that those things that you were intrinsically motivated to do are things that you should do as an adult, because it's like your little tiny subconscious pushing you in a direction. And if I'm going to apply that idea to dog training and handling, because that's what I do now, that's what I do think that I am gifted at, I enjoy doing, and I am successful at it, what does it mean to immerse myself in it? I think it's really difficult to pick a direction and go in that direction in today's day and age because there are so many distractions. And the major distraction for me is social media, because there's so much content and information out there. There's so much being marketed and advertised to us that it's difficult, especially for somebody who is just finding their way in the profession, to pick a direction and follow people that are putting out good information versus trying to avoid people that are putting out bad information. So instead of bashing social media, because I think social media has some wonderful attributes, I'm just going to go ahead and explain what I do in order to immerse myself in what I would consider to be the useful tasks which are going to lead me towards achieving my goals. So first and foremost, immersing myself in dog training and handling means training my own dog. So I have two dogs, Raven and Reuben, working with Raven specifically on a daily basis towards goals that we want to achieve is the best way for me to learn how to teach behaviors to a dog. Just is. There's no amount of watching videos. There's no amount of me watching somebody else train a dog. Getting those repetitions and that time in training my own dog, it is irreplaceable. So I think working with your own dog is so important. And just to be completely open and honest, I acquired Raven because I wanted to add a dog to our pack that I was going to be able to work in an obedience style way of training her, because I can't do that with Ruben. However, after working with her, I have kind of gone back and started working with Ruben a little bit more, because I've learned more about training behaviors with Raven. And I realized, man, I didn't do as much with him as I could have. No, I can't put him in a situation like a competition, but I can, teach him new things, shape new things, maybe employ those new things, or encourage them in like the disc dog sports that we do. So for me, training her has actually given me new opportunities for training Ruben. And it's just been a very interesting journey, but I've learned the most out of training my own dog. The second way that I immerse myself is by consulting mentors when I have issues, either with my own dog or my clients. And my first go-to is Laurie. She's the person that I learned from initially. Yes, she's my spouse. Yes, I am cheating. Not cheating, but it's kind of like cheating because I live with somebody that is a great resource, but I consult her. I do. I ask her questions all the time. And if I didn't have her as a mentor, I probably would have somebody that I could call and ask, maybe not as readily available, but that's an important thing for me to be able to do, is to bounce ideas off of an actual human being. The third thing that I think is important, and the thing that I do to immerse myself, is I go to training classes frequently. So as much as my schedule will allow, I get my butt there. I go to training classes, I go to events, I go to trials, I expose myself physically to these environments so that I can learn from people that are handling their dogs, and so that my dog can feel comfortable in those environments. And the fourth and the last thing that I do to immerse myself is I subscribe and watch and consume paid video content. So this is where the thing that I have chosen to do online is a little bit different than I would think most people, because yes, I follow dog training accounts on Instagram. Not many of them. I find it interesting because if I talk to somebody who is another trainer and they say, oh, did you see what so-and-so posted? Most of the time I say no, because I don't follow very many popular trainers on Instagram, because I don't like getting confused. And I think social media is a marketing tool for dog trainers. I don't think that it is a tool that they use for instruction, because if you know anything about training and training dogs, it's extremely difficult to condense a concept into a 1-minute Instagram reel. Those dogs that you see healing beautifully off the leash and, doing a wonderful routine, those videos are produced for entertainment. They're not produced to instruct. The content that I consume that is paid, it's boring. It's technical. It requires my attention. It doesn't create this huge dopamine rush as I'm consuming the content, right? There's no algorithm pushing content that I am interested in when I go to DKA TV and I want to learn more about shaping a hold, right? It's technical, it's educational, and it takes my time and attention to sit there and consume that information because I want to learn more from the instructor who has produced the instructional, educational video, right? So those are my 4 ways that I try to immerse myself in my craft. If I added or subtracted, maybe like 1 week, if I were working on something like super specific, I might take a lesson from a trainer that I haven't taken lessons from before. I'll give you an example. When I wanted to start learning how to do competition style healing, I hit up Paul Deschamps, who's down on the Cape, and we did some private lessons together. And he gave me some absolutely wonderful tips that I have continued to work with Raven to today. And lastly, I just wanted to mention that my overarching goal is not to get titles on my dogs. It's not to earn a certain amount of money via my business. It's not to grow at a certain rate. My goal is to be the best dog trainer that I possibly can be. And I have to think about what the attributes of a good dog trainer are and make those attributes part of my habits. I'm not saying that I'm the best dog trainer in the world. If you're listening to this, you might be somebody that just has much more experience than I do. Maybe you have more titles under your belt. Maybe your business is way bigger than mine. I'm just telling you my mentality heading into this year and heading into, setting some tasks that are going to be challenging, especially with my dog Raven. So being a good dog trainer for me means training my own dog, consulting with my mentor, showing up to practice, and consuming paid video content so that I know that it's focused messaging that is going to give me good quality instruction. So that's really all I had to say for today. Get this one out real quick to stay semi on task and on schedule, but I hope all of you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time.